So this is the second video for lecture 3. In the previous video, we learned this demand curve represents the movement of demand along the price. So when the price is 3.3, quantity is 220. When this price goes up to 4.3, quantity is reduced to 200. And further, if price goes down to 2.3, quantity is increased to 240. As I explained in the previous video, we are just seeing simplified demand curve where only two variables are changing. So now we'll see the situation where third factor which affects the POC's consumption changes. So demand curve represents the movement of demand along the price. But when factors other than price changes, the shift of the demand curve occurs. As you expect, there are two patterns in the shift of demand curve. The first, demand curve shift rightward. And then please note that this shift doesn't change the price. And on the other hand, the quantity of pork increases. The second pattern is the demand curve shifts leftward. Again, it doesn't change the price. On the other hand, the quantity of pork decreases. I just explained factors other than price cause a shift in demand. But I just listed 5 important factors which may affect demand. First, if consumers' income increase, their demand increases. Also, when their income decreases, their demand also decreases. Also, other products can affect consumers' demands for pork. For instance, the price of beef will affect consumers' demand for pork. I will explain this in the later slides. Third, maybe trends or changing preference of consumers will affect their demand for pork. For instance, if beef becomes very popular at a certain time, the consumers' demand for pork will decline. And finally, if the government changes the regulations for pork production due to sanitation or health policy, it will affect consumers' demand. Among many factors other than price which can affect pork's consumption, in this lecture, I focus mainly on substitute effects of other products on pork's consumption. So let's assume that we are analyzing good A's demand curve. Substitute effect means that other products can affect good A's consumption. But there are many goods and services in this world. When goods have a kind of relationship with good A, they can affect good A's consumption. And I just identify only 2 types of relationship between good A and other products. First one is substitute good, a product that you view as similar or identical to the one you are considering buying. For instance, if good A is pork, substitute good would be beef or chicken. If good A is butter, substitute good would be margarine. If good A is Coke, substitute good would be Pepsi. Another type of other products which can affect the good A is complementary good, which is a good that you like to consume together with good A. For instance, if good A is ink cartridge, complementary good would be printer. If good A is coffee milk, complementary good would be coffee. So you may see the relationship between good A and substitute good as rivals. On the other hand, you may see the relationship between good A and complementary good as friends, because friends share destiny together, and the rivals compete each other. So we firstly see the shift of the demand curve in the case of substitute good. Let's go back to the case of pork. So now we are analyzing price and quantity of pork. In this case, substitute good would be beef. And as I explained, we may see pork and beef are rivals. And if the price of beef increases, people will buy more pork instead of beef because beef became more expensive. So if the price of beef increased by 60 cents, demand curve of pork shifts rightward. As a result, quantity of pork demanded by consumers will increase. Next, we'll see shift of the demand curve in the case of complementary good. This graph shows price and quantity of coffee creamer. So in this case, complementary good is coffee. Since coffee creamer and coffee are consumed together, in many cases, when the price of coffee increases, the price consumers will demand less coffee. Also, they will demand less coffee creamer. So when the price of coffee increases by $1, the demand of coffee creamer shift leftward. As a result, quantity of coffee creamer demanded by consumers will decrease. We've just covered consumer side, what demand curve is, how demand curve changes along the price, and when demand curve shifts. But please remember that we are interested in interactions of buyers and sellers and how that interaction determines the price. So we need to run the supply curve seller's side. The notion of supply curve is very similar to demand curve. The big difference is that the supply curve shows willingness and ability to produce goods rather than purchase goods. So supply curve represents the quantity supplied by sellers at a certain price. So this is the supply curve. This is described on coordinate graph of price and quantity of pork, and time duration is per year. Supply curve is a straight line in this graph rather than curve. So you can see this graph is based on ceteris paribus assumption. And I will see how this supply curve changes along the price. So at this point, the price of pork is 3.30, and the suppliers sell 220 million kilograms. When price goes up to 5.30, what does it happen? Suppliers try to sell more because their main purpose is to get more profits. In sum, in supply curve, when the price goes up, suppliers try to sell more. So we'll see the positive relationship between price and quantity of pork in the supply curve. The same as demand curve, supply curve also shifts when factors other than price change. And also, supply curve shifts rightward and leftward. But in this slide, we'll just see the case where supply curve shifts leftward. So when factors other than price change, supply curve shifts leftward in this case, and then the shift of the supply curve to the left reduces the quantity supplied at this price, and then again, as the same as the demand curve, the shift of supply curve doesn't change the price. There can be several factors other than price which can cause shift of supply curve. First, changing the cost of inputs. For instance, in the case of cars, when the price of iron goes up, the cost of producing cars also goes up, and then suppliers will produce less cars because costs increase. Also, if new technology is innovated for production of cars, suppliers can produce more cars at the same price, and if that is the case, supply curve shifts rightward. Similar to demand curve, when the price of substitute good or complementary good changes, supply curve shifts. In the case of pork, when the price of beef goes up, suppliers wanna increase more beef rather than pork because they can get more profits. If that is the case, supply curve shifts leftward. As a result, production of pork will decrease. And fourth, if the cars become more popular, the production of cars will increase. So if that is the case, supply curve shifts rightward. And finally, if the number of farms decrease in the car industry, supply curve shifts leftward because overall size of car industry shrink. I don't show the shift of supply curve in this lecture, but the concept is very similar to a shift of demand curve. This is the end of this video, and then in the next video we finally talk about interactions of supply curve and demand curve. So you'll see the graph where both supply and demand curves interact, and then that would be the core theory of classic economics, which explain that interaction of suppliers and buyers determine the price, and that price leads to efficient allocative decisions. So see you in the next video.